Okay, F blues. I've just been working the basics, trying to get those under my fingers.
When you say the basics, do you mean the framework?
The framework, yeah.
And did we started out doing some pentatonic and blues scale stuff on it, right?
Um, no.
Did I not give you this?
Oh yeah.
And then we went.
Yes.
It's a minor pentatonic scale.
We haven't. We did the. We worked that.
So that's the Sonny Rollins tune called Sunday Moon for Two.
Right.
It's a blues head. It's a real head. You could end
Right.
up having that called on a gig or at a jam session at least. But if you take the rhythm out and just go, it's a minor pentatonic scale.
Okay.
Did we not follow that through? Maybe we run out of time when we did that.
We like briefly mentioned it, but I don't remember working it too much.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to it.
Okay.
Just play the notes of that tune. That's actually a minor pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
If you put the numbers on that, it'd be 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. Penta
Okay.
means 5. It's a 5-note scale.
Right.
So it doesn't have a 2 or a 6. It's just 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. And then, of course, the octave.
Yeah.
You should have it through the whole range of the horn, of course.
Right.
Now, let's do a little bit of this. I'm going to give you some call and response. I'm going to play a two measure idea. You repeat it by ear.
Okay.
We'll start simple. 2. You just left out the D on the descent.
Oh. Wait. Will you play it one more time?
Good.
Will you do it one more time? No.
Okay.
I did not. Will you do it one more time? I think I can get it.
That was a little more complex.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can play exactly the same thing now. I don't even know what I played before. Sorry. How about that one? Second part of it. Yeah. Good, yeah.
Except that, yeah. I didn't get the growl on
See, there's
there.
a lot of ideas that you can play just out of these notes. You
Right.
find yourself, and you can also do patterns on it. You could do stuff like this. Start on D.
Okay. I
Not
thought
an
you
E.
started on.
There's not an E in the scale. Yeah.
I thought you started on the F.
Or did I? I don't think I did. I could.
Okay. Wait. Wait.
Don't try to play it as fast as I did. I should have played it slower, Frank. I mean, I played it
Okay.
more than once. So yeah.
Right.
I'm just going down 4 notes. Then back to the next scale degree. Down 4 notes, back to the next scale degree. And you can get it going, but don't try to do that yet.
Okay. Slow.
Yeah. So there's that pattern. There's also, I could do the pattern this way.
So it's.
So now I'm going down, I'm going 3 notes instead of 4. 3 notes, and I'm going back to the note I started on. Then to the next scale degree. Yeah.
Etc.
And then if you hear that ripping, you're like, you just pattern stuff. You can do a lot of stuff with minor pentatonic only.
Right.
And
Right.
the thing about that is it blankets all the changes. You don't have to change anything when the chord changes. You don't have to play the changes. You just blanket all of it with just that.
Right.
Call it horizontal playing. You play in a more horizontal. In other words, what you're playing is based on a more horizontal consideration, such as the key of the piece,
Right.
as opposed to the vertical considerations as the chords are going by and the vertical changes are happening. You don't have to actually pay any attention to that with this because it'll cover anything you play. Even if I played chords straight down the chromatic scale, this would work over it.
Right.
The internal logic of the pitches is so strong, you can play it over anything.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a good thing to know. If you're playing in a funk band or a rock band, you probably play more like that.
Right.
You wouldn't
Minor
play like you
pentatonic.
would like a bebop player would play more of the changes, which we started working on. I know, but I should have. I think we were probably short on time, and I ran right into the changes. But I want you to have this stuff too,
Okay.
because it will come up to help you.
Right.
Now, if I added one note to that, that's only one additional note to that minor pentatonic scale.
Mm-hmm.
Can you play that? Now we just added the flat 5, which is another blue note, right? Now it's called the blue scale.
Right. Right.
There's actually no such thing as the blues scale, but this is, if there was one, this would be the one that everybody calls the blues scale, you know?
Right.
There are a variety. This is not the blues scale I learned first when I was growing up. And there are other versions of blues scale that have more notes in it and stuff, but this is a very useful one. And especially if you're playing in a rock band or a funk band, or if you just want to play bluesy on a bebop thing. I mean, the flat 5 is a really bluesy note, so I think we've talked about this before. When you have a blue note, you want to reflect it a little bit. And you notice I haven't ever played it yet without doing something to it. You get some kind of reflection on it.
Right.
Yeah. And the flat 3 though is a blues note too if you use it that way. So I'm going to do something with the F as well, or the C is technically a blues note, but a blue note, but the F natural and the A flat are against what the rhythm section are playing. They're playing F sharp and A natural, see? So they kind of scream and moan a little bit more. The rhythm section is playing the C natural, so your C natural doesn't come across that way quite as much.
Right.
You know, the flat 3, flat 5, and flat 7 would all be considered blue notes. But the ones you really got to inflect are the flat 5 especially, and then a lot of times the third too.
Right.
If I was going... Charlie Parker does that a number of times. Where he goes from the root down to the flat 3. You know?
Yeah.
And it's got a little inflection. I'm not going... I'm going...
Right. Yeah.
So, similarly, the blues scale can be used in a horizontal way where you don't change when the changes change. So if you're playing your blues, F blues here, but in the altos, of course, in D, so you'd be playing D7 to G7 to D7 to G7. Well, you're not going to use a D blues scale and then a G blues scale and then a D blues scale and then a G blues scale. You're going to use a D blues scale overall.
Right.
You blanket, including the A7 or whatever 5 kind of thing, whatever cadential kind of formula you have, you're going to use. You're going to use the same blues scale.
Right. Right.
So it's really good to practice those things too.
Okay.
And you go. Now I use the A flat, and then I use the A natural. Right. And you can also use the ambiguity between the flat 3. Well, this would lead to a different blues scale, but I can use the ambiguity between the flat 3 and the major 3. And I can use the ambiguity between the regular 5 and the flat 5.
Yeah.
And it's really like chromatic scale from the flat 3 up.
Right.
So that kind of stuff happens a lot. And playing with the ambiguity between the flat 5 and the regular 5 is a good way to play with it. So you should do those things. And then you get back to the where we're doing the actual changes. Now we're changing the notes when the chords change vertically. That's what I call vertical playing.
Right.
When the chord changes, we have to change what we're using.
Right.
In this case, it's fairly simple because it's the F sharp. When I go to the G7, it's F natural. I'm using the other level down to the flat 7 there. Flat 7 goes down to the 3 on the G7, and then I'm going to go back up to the flat 7, back to the 3. So the framework could do it that way, or we always have 2 levels, so I could use the other level. With the 6th chord, and we were doing that, weren't we?
Yeah.
There'll be the note that says I'm playing the 6th chord.
Right.
2, it says I'm playing 5, and 1, 6, 2, 5. Running out of breath.
Right.
Got my crappy reed on, so it's taking more air than I should.
Oh, right.
Anyway, it was broken on the tip and stuff. And I found out that these synthetic reeds are really fragile, and more fragile on the tip than you think. And if you mung it up a little bit, it really changes how it plays.
Oh, no. I'll have to be careful with
mine. My concert reeds and recording reeds, I've been protecting them so I don't have the danger of hitting by playing this crappy reed when I'm teaching. But I shouldn't.
Right, makes sense.
I shouldn't do that. But
I get it.
It's not like it's all tone and it's kind of taking a little extra air. Sorry.
Oh.
So we were doing this. I don't remember what I gave you there. Was it like that?
Something like that.
Okay, good. All right, so let's go ahead and play the whole framework.
Okay.
Yeah, great. All right, now can you play around keeping those key notes in there? What we're calling guide tones, of course.
Yeah.
Key notes, and then play around it with it a little bit more. The beauty about playing in this key is anything that isn't in the guide tones is all natural stuff.
Right.
So just don't violate that too much. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if I can. Okay.
And the guide tones have F sharp and D sharp and C sharp and stuff.
Yeah.
Other than those notes that are in the guide tones, everything else is natural.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you started getting out into some of your own stuff that time. The first time you were pretty close to the framework still. Good. That's how we start. Now we just start stepping out a little bit more, but still with the frameworks in there. And you did that pretty well the second time.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Now, it is possible to mix these two approaches, the horizontal approach and the vertical approach. Once you get the vertical approach going more, you might decide to go. I threw some blue scale and then I came back to the changes.
Yeah.
Back to the changes.
Right.
So I played I played the first four measures of that last chorus as blues scale.
Right.
And then I was back into the changes. You have to know where you are in the changes to do that.
Right.
But by the time you played this framework 1,000 times. Sorry. You know where those notes are. You know where you are. You can still hear where you are, even if you play blues scale a little bit.
Right.
Charlie Parker would do that sometimes. He'd be playing the changes, of course, like crazy, and then he'd throw in some blues scale stuff.
Okay.
Ba, 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 da, da, ba, do, ba. I can't quite get the lick going, and it's in the one I'm thinking of is in Opera Va. He's playing the changes, and all of a sudden he does a heavy blues lick, and then he's back to playing the changes.
Okay.
So you can mix the blues lick or even the minor pentatonic into it, but never. But just you still have to keep your place, so you can back into the changes after that's over.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you could play this with the play along, fool around with it a bit, play the framework first, play it several times even first, get those notes really firmly in your ear, and then start playing around it, play around it more, get more and more adventurous, keep playing around it, and then finally maybe you feel, I'm feeling pretty good. Now let me just try throwing a blues lick in somewhere here, and okay, now back to the changes. And
Okay.
it
Yeah.
starts to sound like you really know what you're doing, like you're playing the right stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So we've, in a fairly quick time here, we just went through horizontal playing,
Mm-hmm.
where we choose either minor pentatonic or blues scale type stuff and use it horizontally. Doesn't change with the changes. And then we talked about changing with the changes, finding the guide tones, getting the guide tones in there. No matter how obtuse things get, the guide tones are still basically in there.
Right.
And then sometimes mixing in the horizontal approach with the vertical, where you'll throw in momentarily some horizontal playing from the
Yeah.
minor pentatonic or from the blues scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of how I would approach this in a nutshell. Now you need to go through the time that it takes to get that to acculturate into your bloodstream and every cell in your body.
Right.
Well, it's all entrenched. So intuitively, you know where you are in the
Yeah.
tones at all times. You don't have to think about, let's see, I'm on major 8, okay, 9, I got to get, no. You just intuitively know where those things are because of all the repetition you've done on it.
Right. Okay. Okay. I will do
All right.
that.
Well, I think you're on your way. You know, just let's see what get some real time in on it,
Yeah.
and let's see where you're at,
Okay.
and then I'll help you from there. And then once we feel like we're getting this pretty well, then we'll go into and do some rhythm changes.
Okay.
I think you should do more than one key though.
For this? Okay.
Have you
Yeah.
done it in B flat yet?
No, not really.
'Cause this is in F. If we went to B flat now, you'd be in G.
Yeah.
Etc. I should have finished it, but yeah. So there's the same framework, but it's in a different key.
Right.
You should live with it at least in F and B flat.
Right. Okay.
Those are probably the two most common keys that get called. And then
Yeah.
you can start expanding it. Ultimately, you want to be able to play it in all 12 keys.
You're right. Right.
Remember how Bird said he learned to play was he learned to play the blues first in all 12 keys.
Hmm.
Then he learned how
Yeah.
to play rhythm changes in all 12 keys. Then he learned how to play Cherokee in all 12 keys.
Okay.
He said that took him about 2 years, but after that he could play anything.
That's great. Okay.
So, I mean, ultimately, I know we've got a limited amount of time, so I'm going to, before you've done this in all 12 keys, I'm going to move on to rhythm changes, but I would like you to do it in at least 2 or 3 keys.
Okay.
Maybe do it in concert E flat, where you're
Yeah.
in C, or concert C, where you're in A,
Right.
and maybe try to get 4 keys even.
Okay.
But get it good in 1 key first, and then see if you can expand it.
Okay.
And then later on your own, you need to get into all those keys.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I will do that.
And there's an Abersold play along that does blues in all 12 keys. It's volume 42.
What's that one called?
It's called Blues in All 12 Keys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then I do not have it.
Yeah, I know you don't have it, but that's a pretty good one for practicing a lot of different keys on the blues.
Okay. I'll get that. I will
Yeah.
check that out.
Yeah, it makes a good warm-up.
Yeah.
You know, when I spent some time with Dick Oates, he said the first thing he did every day was to play the blues, get himself in touch with his horn, get the horn in touch with his emotions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Connection going before he started working on things. He'd actually always do that every day.
Right. I like that.
Great idea.
Yeah. Okay. I will work on that.
All right, Logan. Well, good job today. Good work. And I know you got to go to work, so I'll let you
Yeah,
go. But
I will see you next week.